This is Robert Kraft, and I'm coming to you live on SNN.Live, and we're at the Precious Metal Summit 2019 in Beaver Creek, Colorado. With me right now is Larry Page from Southern Silver Exploration. It's a publicly traded company. I got two symbols for you, SSV on the TSX Venture and SSVFF in the U.S. Larry, welcome back to SNN.Live.
It's always a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. So for our audience, let's start off with an overview of the company, and then we'll go from there.
Well, I'm happy to do this. This is the fourth year I've spoken to you, and every year I incrementally say that we're developing a resource that will become a mine. The company is headquartered in Vancouver, and its main property is in Durango, Mexico, silver-lead-zinc property. We've developed it to the stage where it is a resource. We're now doing an awful lot of the engineering work before we do the next round of drilling, which will end up in a PEA. So in each of the 4 years that I've been speaking, each of the 3 preceding years I've been speaking, I've been telling about incremental development of the property. It might be interesting to talk about the junior resource sector and why we're doing this. I've been in the business for far too long. And I've had some good successes. The last major success was Western Silver Corporation, which took a property in Zacatecas, Mexico, to a stage where it was very attractive to a major. He sold on to Glamis Gold. Glamis Gold sold it to Gold Corp. Gold Corp developed the mine, the Penasquito mine, and shareholders had a $1.2 billion payday. That was about 9 years ago. And our group was looking around for something to do. We thought we'd try to utilize the same infrastructure in Mexico. Because for a company in Vancouver just to go to Mexico cold and say, I'm going to find a silver property, which is going to be a mine, needs a lot of logistics. And it needs a lot of support.
So, as you said, this is now our 4th year doing an interview with you. We want to get that update on that incremental growth that you're referring to at your projects in Mexico. So what's been going on in, let's say, this last year?
I'm happy to do so. When we talked last year, I told you that our partner in the project was the Electrum LLP, a great group, very supportive. As a matter of fact, they're just bringing a mine into production, Los Gatos mine into production in Chihuahua next week. They're commissioning it next week, having the grand opening. And they did that in about the same period of time that we've been developing Cerro Las Minitas. So let me tell you where the property is. It's in Durango. It's 60 kilometers outside of Durango. It's essentially de-risked by being on the autopista. It's next to Guadalupe, Victoria, which is a modest town, but it has a great workforce. It has electricity. It has 3 ejidos, which are the native groups, who have signed 20-year agreements with us. There's water on site. And I think I probably told you, but Cerro Las Minitas means a hill of many mines. And why that is important is the artisanal miners had gone down 200, 300 feet, taken silver, lead, and zinc out. But when we were able to get the property 8 years ago, we paid $3.6 million for it. We were able to buy it with no burdens on it. It's very important when you're doing some financing. Where we were last year is we had a resource. We've now increased that resource. We have, in the aggregate, measured and indicated and inferred. In the aggregate, we've got 272 million ounces of silver equivalent, about half and half for those 2 categories. So that is starting to shape up. So majors are taking an interest in saying, okay, how big can this be? What's your ultimate sweet spot so that this can be a mine and it can be costed out? We have 23 million tons of ore. We expect to increase that to 30. Anything above that gives us a mine life of 15 years onward. The building blocks when you're creating a resource that can become a mine are being overcome as we go along. We've got $18 million in the project. We own 40% of it. The Electrum people own 60%. We're the operators, tremendous relationship. And they also own 36% of our issued capital. So let's talk corporately for a minute.
Sure.
We just did a financing at 20 cents, and we announced it at the opening of business, and after about 3 hours, we were oversubscribed by, instead of $2 million, we were subscribed for $3 million, and we finally closed at 4.2. So I think that's very, very significant to the extent that the retail people are coming back into the market, and when they can see a good silver play, they want to participate. So we're cashed up. We're at the stage right now where by the end of this year we'll have all of the metallurgy done. And again, I talk about de-risking, that's important to do. Have all the metallurgy done, we'll have finished our scoping study, heading towards a PEA, and then we'll be talking with our partner about doing another 10 to 15,000 meters of drilling, which will put the icing on the cake, I would like to say. Puts us in a position where you pass it on to the engineers and it becomes a study, preliminary economic assessment, etc. And so that's where we are. So year by year I see you. You get older year by year. I don't. And the project keeps improving.
And Larry, where can our audience go and find more information about Southern Silver?
They can find it at southernsilverexploration.com.
My name is Robert Kraft, and I'm coming to you live on SNN.Live, and we are at the Precious Metal Summit 2019 in Beaver Creek, Colorado. With me again has been Larry Page from Southern Silver Exploration, publicly traded company, 2 symbols for you, SSV on the TSX Venture and SSVFF in the U.S. Larry, it's always a pleasure. Thank you for joining me today.
Indeed, and we'll see you next year.